might try to get some Georgia fans.
Welcome in to Instant Reaction. We're talking recruiting, but we're also here to talk Tennessee and Georgia. And we got our man, Zach Herbstreit. Zach, you were there all game. It's quite a difference right now in Neyland than it was earlier.
How we doing, Josh?
Man, we're doing great. How was it?
Look at the boys over here. I'm trying to interview some people here, see what they're about.
All right, we got Zach Herbstreit here in Neyland Stadium. The buzz is gone.
How we feeling, guys? Good. Hey, what a win, huh? What a win, man. Good for you guys. That was incredible. Hey.
Yeah, take us around, Zach. Take us around Neyland.
Exactly what that was, but
Zach, did you at all get near that Tennessee recruit section?
Guys, but
Zach, did you happen to see recruits on the field before game or anything like that?
All the Georgia fans are still here. Tennessee fans are, for the most part, are not, present. Tough L, but what a game, man! What a game. I'm still kind of baffled. I was right under where that kick was that missed. I don't want to say it was a chip shot, but you'd think he'd make that because he made that one in overtime, and then
it was a breaker.
What happened? But wow.
All right. Thank you, Zach. Now we're back to recruit reaction. Here's a video from Zach Herbstreit of that Tennessee missed opportunity. Oh, it's a heartbreaker. Look at Tennessee. See, they knew it. I think Tennessee fans on the other side of the stadium thought that was good because it had the distance. It looked good. I mean, it was just off from the jump, right from his foot. This thing doesn't fade on him. That doesn't fade. That's just a missed kick. So we're going to break it all down. We are here, me and Steve Wiltfong, for recruit reaction. And Steve, Tennessee deserved to win that game. That's not my quote. That's what Kirby Smart said after Georgia won 44-41. There was 5 lead changes in the second half. It was almost time for Knoxville's. The lid was about to blow off in Neyland Stadium. And it was almost an instant classic. Well, it still was an instant classic if you're a Georgia fan. So Georgia fans, get in the chat. Let's hear it. How does it feel to win another one in Neyland? Steve, what was your impressions of the game?
Well, Tennessee deserved to win, but so did Georgia. Gunnar Stockton played phenomenal, 23 of 31, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns throwing, 1 more rushing. The poise that he had in his first road start was typical Georgia, right? The Bulldogs, the culture of their program, the way they play for 4 quarters, they took Tennessee's best shot again. I think this is 5 years in a row that Tennessee has had the lead against Georgia, and they've lost all 5 of them. But what I'll say to this is Tennessee is a legit national title contender. This is a program that has gotten better every year of the Heupel era. They made the college football playoff last year, and now here they are taking Georgia to the brink with the chance to win the ball game with a field goal in a back-and-forth game. Tennessee could have folded in the second half when Georgia made their run. They held Georgia to field goals instead of touchdowns. That was pivotal in the second half. Tim Banks' defense, the style of play. Tennessee's so physical. The Herring kid looks like a future star for the Vols. They got difference makers on both sides of the ball. This was Aguilar's first big start on this kind of stage, and he had some throws that he'll certainly want back. He'll get better each week, but I thought Tennessee could finally run the ball some against Georgia, which they haven't been able to do historically, and they've been able to play at a level physically that Georgia plays at and other national title contenders play at. I think even though Tennessee didn't win the game, they were able to show all the recruits in the stands they can go toe-to-toe with any program. They're going to be in these games. They can win these games, and they can be part of the next wave of Tennessee football players that help bring this thing back. Peyton Manning on the field pregame talking to Tennessee quarterback commit Faison Brandon. I mean, how cool is that? We saw a couple years ago him doing that with George McIntyre, smoking a cigar in the Vols locker room. Now he's out there rubbing elbows with Faison Brandon. just the star power at Tennessee, what that program means. That stadium was so loud. It is arguably the loudest stadium in college football. Rocky Top, Tennessee, just ringing in those Georgia players' ears all day, which, again, just a credit to Gunnar Stockton, a credit to their offensive line, the way they were able to play through all that. There's Kennedy Brown, the number one player in the country, offensive tackle, 2027. Tennessee was a program that he highlighted to me before the season that he wanted to visit. He'll be back for this was to check out a game day atmosphere. Talking to his mom, I expect them to be back down the road at some point. Look at Cooper Witten right there, the prize linebacker recruit. Sees that Tennessee defense flying around, making plays. This was the first game that he chose to attend this season when he was putting together his itinerary. So Tennessee, they didn't get the win today. David Gabriel Georges, obviously they're battling Ohio State for him. They're in the right recruiting battles. They're showing that they have the chops to win them. They're going to keep winning them on the trail. It's going to lead to wins instead of losses in these games down the road. Georgia, still the most consistent program in college football. But Tennessee is now one of those programs you can look and say, hey, they have a legit chance of knocking off the Bulldogs. They have a legit chance of going on a run in the postseason because I expect Aguilar to continue to get better. This was a heck of an opportunity for him to get that experience against this Georgia football team. And just an exciting ball game.
Yeah, it really was. And Joey Aguilar playing like Joey Swagalar in that first half. He ended 24 for 36, 371, 4 touchdowns. You're right. He had 2 picks. He'd probably like to have a couple throws back. But overall, in Gunnar Stockton, right there with him, 23 of 31, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Georgia, like you said, you consistently one of these great programs. They consistently ran the football. Even when they were down 2 scores early, Georgia didn't back off of running the football. And I think that's kind of what opened it up for Gunnar Stockton a little bit. Nate Frazier goes for 73 yards. Colby Young had 73 yards receiving, leading the way for that Georgia offense. Great performances all around, Steve. Georgia Bulldogs, they pull it out in Knoxville. An instant classic if you're a Georgia fan.
Josh, Tennessee had 3 flip targets on campus on the defensive line. Dre Quinn, 4-star, committed to the Clemson Tigers. This is kind of a historic visit in the sense that I can't recall a Clemson commit taking a visit to another school while he's been committed to the Tigers in the Dabo Swinney era. Maybe it's happened. I just can't pull it to top of mind. Iverson Garcia is an in-state defensive lineman from Powell High. Second week in a row, he's been on campus, same high school as Walter Nolan, where Walter Nolan played his senior year. That one's trending well. And then Andrew Rogers, a 4-star edge rusher committed to Virginia Tech, also visiting today, a high school teammate of Faison Brandon. If the balls are on the gas for those guys, I could picture them all in the fold. Tennessee is the number 8 recruiting class in the country right now. Georgia Bulldogs, they sit at number 2 in the Rivals recruiting rankings. They are looking for some flips here, Josh. In every cycle, we see Kirby Smart and this staff flip a high-profile guy or two down the stretch, and a lot of it's going to be based on senior evaluations, who's having a great final year of high school football. Then they're going to get those young men to campus, and they're going to these games are reminders of who Georgia is. And Kirby Smart, whenever he talks to a prospect, we win the NFL draft every year. We have the most players drafted. And then we consistently win football games like this. Like, yeah, Tennessee is a great opportunity. You'd be a great player in Knoxville, but we rolled into Knoxville and got it done again. And so they have the inch on the trail. They have the inch on the field. And Georgia's going to be a program that's going to be able to flip some people here during the season. And they're looking to do it. It could be on the offensive line, could be in the secondary, maybe at wide receiver. So Georgia looking for more prospects in the 2026 cycle. Running back is another position where maybe they could take another if it's the right guy that's having the right senior season. A guy like Chad Simmons and I have talked about, Amari Latimer, who's currently committed to Wisconsin, but was off to a fast start his senior season, an in-state recruit. So who's Georgia going to flip? We'll be talking about that more in October and November, but it's these kind of wins that remind these top prospects why the Bulldogs are the Bulldogs.
What a fun game. And really, what a finish by the Georgia Bulldogs. You know, you would think college football is a little different. Just because Georgia has success doesn't mean they'll always have success. And Kirby Smart has to teach every team how to win. And this was a game of attrition. There was moments where it felt like it was hopeless for Georgia, but they just kept coming. They kept battling. They kept playing. They kept playing sound, fundamental football. They made all 3 of their kicks. You know, even though they settled for some, they didn't miss any. Zachariah Branch maybe didn't fill up the stat book as much as some of the other receivers in this game, but his catches, they were clutch. His touchdown was clutch. Zachariah Branch had a monster game for Georgia.
They're always so poised, and it starts with Kirby Smart. I was talking to Cody Belair and Charles Power about that via text during the game.
Mm-hmm.
Kirby Smart, he gets on the refs, and he gets on his players only if they do something to embarrass the logo on the field. But when things are not going well on the field, he is incredibly poised. He rallies his team. He's very positive with them from my vantage point, and they respond well annually when they're in these tough games. And so you knew they were going to keep playing for 4 quarters. And again, Tennessee is led in all 5 of these ball games of the Heupel era, and Georgia's found a way to win all 5.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
This one
unbelievable game. The finish, I'm still getting to the finish. Here's the missed kick. We had our own Zach Herbstreit of On 3 on the sideline, right there. Georgia or Tennessee fans.
Look at those
the look in their eyes. They know it's going wide. Oh, you don't want to catch that football if you're a Tennessee fan. That doesn't feel great. But Georgia does it. Now, this is recruit reaction, so let's talk a little bit more recruiting. From an atmosphere standpoint, I feel like this is still a major win for Tennessee. Tennessee fans are walking out of the stadium sick to their stomach right now, heartbroken. But if you're a top recruit, you're thinking, wow, that was a great game. You saw Peyton Manning. You got to talk to Josh Heupel. You saw all these other 5-stars there. For much of the game, Tennessee really had it in hand, so you got to feel the vibes of what Neyland feels like when that top is about to burst and everybody's going crazy on 3rd down. So even though they lost, Steve, this still has a major impact on recruiting for Tennessee.
Not only did they see arguably the best atmosphere college football can offer, I mean, it was a frenzy stadium there in Knoxville today for this game against Georgia. It was deafening. I'm sure you had trouble hearing the person sitting next to you throughout the 4 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
They saw a Tennessee football team that can compete with anybody and go after the national championship. I think last year we knew Tennessee was a team that should make the college football playoff, but we didn't take them serious as a national title contender. Now, they still got to play through October and November and stay healthy, but you continue to see the progression of this program, and they show you ways that they are getting better, including the way they just competed against Georgia today. So the program is still on an upward trajectory. Recruits see that, and it's a place that's special, and they feel like they could help restore this team to a national championship. I think sometimes when you have a bunch of recruits on campus and you take an L, it's just a blow. And those Tennessee players and coaches aren't going to be that much fun to be around. But it's like, look, we were right there. We might get another crack at these guys in the college football playoff. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee walks out of this game thinking they can win the rest of their ball games, get themselves a home playoff game perhaps. If not, one of them buys. I lose track of the playoff rules, but I think they're still in line for a great college football playoff seed. And I think they're the number 15 team in the country. Georgia's number 6. I think Tennessee moves up after that performance. I'm bullish on the Vols.
Yeah. Tennessee fans, Georgia fans, both of you, exciting times. Lock in, hit subscribe right now to the Rivals Recruits page because this is going to impact recruiting, and we are going to not only talk about it all week, but all season. Neither of these teams are going to slow down on the recruiting trail. Just to wrap it up, 3 defensive line flip targets on campus for Tennessee, Clemson commitment, Dre Quinn, I think was probably the headliner of the weekend in terms of the 2026 class. Virginia Tech defensive line commit, Andrew Rogers, and USF Iverson Garcia. It's clear, Steve, that the Tennessee Volunteers, even though this class is about finish, it's still clear they have a need on that defensive line.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're going to address it with some of these guys. They still want to land a running back as well. So it'll be interesting to see where things take off, whether that's a Carson Baker and Amari Latimer, two guys from the Sunshine State. Baker committed to the Florida Gators right now. Latimer, Wisconsin. We know they want another running back. We know they're going hard for defensive linemen. Tight end is another position where I could see them getting the spatula out and trying to flip somebody. So Tennessee would be a program to watch, especially if they can build off this ball game. If Joey Aguilar can limit the mistakes in big games moving forward, Tennessee's going to be a real problem because he played great other than a couple of throws.
All right. Well, we are going to be talking Georgia. We're going to be talking Tennessee. You guys let us know. Comment section below. Get in the chat. Let's fire it up. Georgia fans, how you feel, and put it in the comment section below. All right. Who else are we talking about tonight? Let's move on. Let's this Bama-Wisconsin game was quite the bounce back for the Tide. They really needed it. They cruise 38-14 over Wisconsin. They had 4 sacks. That defensive line showed up. That's the most sacks that they've had since last October against South Carolina. Ty Simpson, 24 of 29, 382 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Steve, guys like Cedarian Morgan and Xavier Crowell, 5-star commitments for the Tide. They had to be loving what they saw.
Well, these guys aren't wavering on Alabama, 38-14 victory over Wisconsin. They get the bye week, and then they get their shot at Georgia on the road in Athens in 2 weeks. That'll be the marquee game for us on the Recruit Reaction Show in 2 weeks. But Alabama bouncing back, getting another dominant win here and playing well and having good vibes going into the bye week. Obviously, their recruits weren't wavering. They made an impression continue to make an impression on some of the top 2027s and 2028s in the country. 5-star athlete Xavier Saab was on campus supporting his brother Keon, who plays in Tuscaloosa. Now, his brother Amari is also a prospect in 2026 class. So it'll be interesting to see which of these powerhouse programs starts pushing for Amari. You got Oregon involved, Tennessee, Miami, Penn State, Notre Dame, some places Xavier said he's going to visit. But first-class experience. Love seeing Coach Grubb's offense putting it in the playmakers' hands. He feels like a priority, and he loves Coach Shepard there at Alabama. Alabama is already the Rivals Prediction Machine favorite for 4-star athlete Braden Gordon. He had another good trip to Tuscaloosa there. Talked about the weight room, talked about it being a football town, loved the crowd and the atmosphere. That's a place that he could see himself playing. And then in the 2028 class, they had the number 1 running back in the country, Zayden Jernigan, on campus. He's from Mississippi. Alabama's going to be heavy in that one. Nehemiah McCary, a linebacker in the 2028 class. He's already named Alabama his leader. The Tide offered Braylon Clark, a 4-star, during his visit. And then Ridge James is the number 4 tight end in the country from St. Louis de Smet. He had a fantastic visit to Alabama, one of his best in his process so far.
All right, Steve. Alabama currently sitting with the number 7 ranked class in America. Here it is. Believe Alabama, at parts of the cycle were up in that top 3, 4, 5 range, currently sitting at number 7. But they're in a position where if they continue to play well, they're going to be in position to flip some guys down the stretch.
Sure. Offensive line particularly is a position that they're still looking to grab someone. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But they have a huge opportunity on the road in 2 weeks against Georgia to start building back some capital, as anytime Alabama loses a game, Kalen DeBoer's got to deal with the doubts from the media. But they zipped it up for the last 2 weeks with a couple dominant wins, including one over the previously 2-0 Badgers today.
So let's put that schedule back up there for a second. So if we're looking at this schedule from a recruiting standpoint, is that Tennessee game or LSU game outside? Yeah. Is that going to be the big visit weekend of the season for Alabama?
Well, I think they'll have a lot of prospects on campus for Tennessee. Obviously, LSU, that's a destination game that top recruits were putting on their itinerary before the season. So we know that's going to be a loaded list. Tennessee is going to be more of recruits. There will be a lot of recruits, but maybe last-minute decisions to come to that game, maybe altering or changing their schedule. Alabama LSU is one of the marquee games in college football year in and year out. It's right up there with Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame, USC. I mean, those are games that are destination games for prospects to be at year in and year out.
Yeah, and that schedule, if they didn't run into that buzzsaw that is the Florida State Seminoles, I mean, you look, they might be able to run the table here. It's just unfortunate that they had to play the Seminoles in game one.
Sorry, I'm getting some reaction, but yeah, your Seminoles took out some aggression in that opener.
Yeah, this is great, Steve. Who are you getting reaction from currently?
Well, I'm talking to some coaches from some other games right now, but also talking to some kids that visited Tennessee today. Talked to Rivals number 5 offensive tackle, number 22 prospect overall, Elijah Hutchinson. He was one of the headliners on campus. This is without a doubt the loudest game I've been to. The fans are truly devoted, and coaches I've got really good relationships with just about all the O-line coaches and assistants. So Tennessee is a program to watch early in that process. Reaction continues to come in from Georgia Tech's awesome win over Clemson today, which I think kind of changes the hierarchy in the ACC a little bit, right? Like Clemson was the preseason favorite, but now you're looking at this season and you have Georgia Tech as an ACC title contender. Certainly Miami's the favorite now. Florida State right there with the Hurricanes. The ACC is super intriguing this year. It'll be interesting to see how many teams come out of the college, get a college football playoff invite. Florida State winning their ball game against Alabama will certainly help that conference's cause entirely. But big win for Georgia Tech today. Miami is up on USF right now, and they got some really talented young kids on campus. And Florida State's off this week, enjoying what's been a great month after a miserable 2025 campaign.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Bama fans, how you guys feeling after that Wisconsin win? Pretty spectacular just in terms of putting away a team that should be put away that way. It was never close. It was never in question. Alabama runs it. They run it up, and now it's time to recruit. Let us know, who do you want to see Bama flip down the stretch? Put it in the comment section below. All right. Let's head to Baton Rouge, Steve. LSU versus Florida. We got an SEC night game. Lots of recruits are making their way to this one, including some major flip targets.
Yeah, Florida up 3-0 right now as we record this, Josh. And there was some pregame fighting on the field a couple times. Flags being thrown.
A couple dust-ups.
I think I saw Shea Dixon talk about flags being thrown on Twitter before the game has even started. But yeah, LSU bringing in some elite prospects for this one. It starts with 5-star offensive tackle Manny Iheanacho. They were the runner-up in his recruitment, committed to Oregon. But LSU is a program that gave him a lot to think about during his process. I think Oregon's going to be tough to beat, but maybe LSU's the biggest threat right now. KJ Edwards, number 3 running back in the country, committed to Texas A&M, took an official visit to see the Tigers in June. LSU was a little later to this recruitment, but they have, once they offered, they've been relentless, and they haven't stopped since his commitment to the Aggies. This maybe has some modern recruiting touch to it too. So we'll see how things develop on that side of the fence with KJ Edwards. But I talked to him before the visit, and he said it was, he said, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong story here.
Not a problem. Yeah.
He talked about how they have a different vibe down there. This will be his first time experience a game, just looking to experience the whole process. And then he loved his official visit. Talked about the genuine love all week from Frank Wilson, Brian Kelly, and he's really the only running back that LSU's recruiting. So that means a lot to him. LSU signed the best running back class in the country last year. LSU working to flip Rivals 300 linebacker J.J. Bush from Arkansas. There were times where I thought LSU led in his recruitment. I think LSU probably spent the most time at the top of the list for J.J. Bush. So big opportunities this weekend to maybe make some moves with some key 2026 targets. And then, of course, in 2027, you got the quarterbacks, Colton Nussmeier, Peyton Houston, Elijah Haven. Peyton Houston's committing on Monday. Oklahoma's trending on the Rivals prediction machine, but he is not assigned to the Sooners as far as I know. And so
that's crazy. Let's talk more about these three quarterbacks that are on campus right now. Colton Nussmeier, Peyton Houston, Elijah Haven. They're important because 2027 quarterbacks are flying off the board. When you're right, Peyton Houston's going to make his decision on Monday. When Peyton Houston announces his commitment, 5 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the 2027 class will be committed. Steve, it seems like right now Nussmeier is the one that LSU is going to land. Are they working hard to sway Elijah Haven, who is currently trending heavily to UF, or are they just kind of keeping him warm and Nussmeier's the guy that they want?
Well, I think Nussmeier and Houston are obviously the guys at the top of the board for LSU right now. Houston is someone that they've turned it up for since January. And so they don't want to see him leave for Oklahoma or USC or anywhere else. And Colton Nussmeier is one that we always figured they'd have a great shot to land. He's also got a keen eye on Alabama, Georgia, and Florida himself. My prediction's already in for LSU, so is colleague Sam Spiegelman. But that's not a done deal.
Sure.
Peyton Houston, a lot of Oklahoma buzz around him, but we've been surprised before. With Elijah Haven, we like the Gators at this point in the process. They've done as good a job recruiting him as any other program, but LSU, Alabama, Penn State, some of the other programs that are prominent in Elijah Haven's recruitment, he's right down the road. Joe Sloan talks to Elijah Haven as much as he talks to these other guys. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. But Peyton Houston's obviously the pending decision here. Colton Nussmeier, it'll be interesting to see what his timetable is. And does he realize maybe he should move his up with the way some of his peers are going through their process?
Right. Yeah, good point. It's going to be really interesting to see what these guys have to say coming out of this weekend. I know you're going to have full updates with Nussmeier, Haven, everybody, Peyton Houston.
Recruiting optics are interesting sometimes, and I'm not saying this is going to happen with LSU or that I've even heard this, but before Jared Curtis committed to before Jared Curtis committed to Georgia, I think Oregon was close to getting Ryder Lyons to commit, and they ended up not getting either of them. You know, and so we'll see what happens with Colton Nussmeier this weekend. Obviously, having all those guys there at the same time, I wonder how you navigate that. Looks like the Gamecocks navigated a touchdown over your right shoulder to tie it up with Vanderbilt right now. They got a great visitor list in Columbia. Shane Beamer and company have that program jacked up. Yeah. But LSU,
I'm missing primetime football. I feel rude turning around to watch these games, but I kind of want to.
LSU. They have some other terrific 2027s on campus this weekend. The top 2 players in the state, Ahmad Hudson, tight end, 5-star, number 1 tight end in the country, have a long-standing LSU prediction there. The number 2 receiver in the country, 5-star Easton Royal. LSU is one of the favorites for him. 4-star safety, Karan Eugene. 4-star defensive back, Jaden Anding. Love where LSU stands with both of them. The Rivals prediction machine reflects that. Javon Vitale Jr., in-state playmaker. Sam Spiegelman first to predict it. I joined him in that prediction. And then the number 1 defensive lineman in the country, Jalen Brewster. He's their number 6 player overall. He's kind of going through his process slowly, but you figure LSU, a defensive lineman from the Lone Star State, they always find a way to be in the lead group, get an official visit. So getting him on campus. Been a lot of Oklahoma buzz around Jalen Brewster. He's visiting Indiana next weekend. That's a return trip to Bloomington and God's country to see the Hoosiers play Illinois in prime time. He's spent a lot of time around the Texas program. He's been up to Ohio State. LSU looking to make a move and get Jalen Brewster back and start to turn that up with him this weekend.
All right, LSU fans, make sure you guys are subscribed because we're going to have instant reaction all week long from the top names on campus, the 5-stars, the quarterbacks, the elite 2027 names. Steve Wiltfong and the boys, they're going to be working hard all weekend. So hit subscribe because we are not done talking LSU. Well, we are for now. All right, let's talk a little South Carolina as Vandy The doors come to town, and so do the big-time recruits. How important is it that Landon Duckworth, I know he's committed, but he might be the headliner here a week after visiting LSU in what was a bit of a surprise visit that he showed up in Baton Rouge. But I think it's significant, Steve, that Landon Duckworth is on campus for this one.
It definitely was a surprise visit that he went to LSU. That was one that you find out in hindsight was kind of in the works for 3 weeks, but coming out of it, South Carolina was never worried. He was up front with the Tiger staff, and sources around Columbia felt great about it. LSU optimistic after the visit this past weekend they could get him back for an official visit. I'm not sure that happened, so you feel great about Landon Duckworth. Watching Lenore's Sellers push for Heisman Trophy finalist discussion and all of that. It's an exciting time for a quarterback to be looking at the Gamecocks right now, and I still feel good about Landon Duckworth and his place in this class. Julian Walker is a major visitor this weekend too, Josh. Edge rusher, local, committed to Michigan, but he visited South Carolina last week, visiting him this week, and they told him they're going to be relentless with him. And he said he said they're doing a great job communicating with me. Talked to him earlier this week, getting me information I need and just building our relationships. I think being at the games just allows you to build on the relationship. The relationship aspect and fit are big for me. So right now that's the focus. His dad's obviously the strength coach at South Carolina and has really been his trainer his whole life. He had a great time there for the South Carolina State game last weekend, talking with Coach Beamer, talking with Sterling Lucas, talking with Darren Usher. And South Carolina made it clear they're not done with this recruitment. And he's obviously making it clear 2 visits in a row. He's not done with the Gamecocks. Now he's expected at Michigan next month for the Wisconsin game, continues to have regular dialogue with Sharon Moore and the Wolverines, but South Carolina can get him to campus a lot more often than Michigan can get him inside the big house. It's one that they're going to have to battle to keep till the end. So South Carolina doing a really good job there.
Yeah, and, if we're following the visits of Landon Duckworth, how important is following the visits for Julian Walker? Do they tell the story? I mean, is a flip coming for Julian Walker to South Carolina?
It's not imminent unless something were to change tonight. It wasn't imminent today when we woke up. He's planning on going to Michigan for the Wisconsin game. Had good conversations with Sharon Moore this week. The Wolverines know that they're in a battle. They know what it is. South Carolina, they're actually in a decent – as much as you wish you would have won the recruitment in the summer, you're still alive, and you're the one that's – you know who you're against right now. And so we'll see how that one continues to play out.
And then LaDainian Guyton, I mean, obviously they're not going to back down, but the Texas Tech commitment is on. He committed not too long ago. I feel like it was like 5 or 6 weeks now. LaDainian Guyton, is this just is there anything to this, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, has he been spotted on campus today?
I don't know if he was spotted, but he's expected in.
Yeah, reported that he was expected in, but sometimes, I don't know. Certainly that was a program where Georgia was considered the favorite, but South Carolina was one of his early schools of high interest, and relationships have been standing for a while. And he even talked to Chad Simmons prior to the season starting about possibly going to South Carolina's opener against Virginia Tech in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So it's not like South Carolina just popped up here. They've always been in the mix for him. Texas Tech, they did a lot to get him committed. I mean, they're ranked in the top 25. They certainly have a football program that's on the rise. They're looking to be 3-0 today, but Texas Tech is flexing in modern recruiting. So if you're going toe-to-toe with the Red Raiders for someone they really like, man, you better bring your A game. Obviously, you
better bring those bags of money is what you're really saying.
Well, same thing. They got LaDainian Guyton committed. They got Cooper Hackett committed, and they got Kavian Bryant on campus right now. The Florida State Seminoles, there's some optimism and some excitement around Tallahassee of where they stand with rivals number 1 ranked 2027 quarterback. But Texas Tech's got him on campus today and tomorrow, and he's getting the same treatment that Guyton and Cooper Hackett are getting. So, and not only that, he was there to watch Texas Tech improve to 3-0, all the Texas ties that Joey McGuire and company have. But we're going off the rails here, bringing this back to South Carolina and the Gamecocks and some of the prospects that they're still pushing for. Jaden Bryant, KJ Green, and Anthony Sweeney are all top 100 caliber pass rushers, 3 of the more ballyhooed defensive ends in the country. The Gamecocks have led for KJ Green, and they're in the lead group for the other 2. Jaden Bryant, they're their early Rivals prediction machine favorite for him as well. They got Rivals 300 receiver Jaden Kelly Murray on campus. They have some notables in 2028, including running back Kevin Hartsfield from the Peach State, Coeli Fielder from the Peach State. So getting a head start with those guys. Flip target, Julian Walker got a lot of the commits back, including Landon Duckworth, and they got themselves a tie ball game with Vanderbilt as I talk to you right now. Tico Crittenden did not make it.
He did not make it. Okay. Seminoles can breathe a little easier during their bye week there. All right.
Yeah.
That's it for South Carolina. Let's talk a little Notre Dame as they have a strong recruiting weekend lined up with number 16 Texas A&M coming to town. I think the Irish just had a pick. I'm not sure. Steve, you could probably read the score behind me, but this game is in the first quarter here. Let's talk a little bit about the Irish. They have some big-time pass catchers on campus, Steve.
Yeah, and until Notre Dame shows on Saturdays that they can be dominant on the perimeter at the wide receiver position, I think it's one of their biggest needs, cycle in and cycle out. They did a really good job of recruiting receiver in the 2026 class, a big haul highlighted by Kadon Finley, the Fitzgerald kid from Arizona, the son of Larry Fitzgerald. So they did a good job of going out there and landing some guys that could be difference makers at wide receiver. But till people go out there and prove it inside Notre Dame Stadium, under the Golden Dome, under Touchdown Jesus, it's a need. Quentin Burrell, I think they're setting the tone for him early in his process. They got major competition from Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, to name a few. Julius Jones Jr. taking his first visit to campus. His dad played for the Irish. Oregon's done a good job early in his recruitment, but Notre Dame is always going to be a school to watch for Julius Jones Jr. Jack Brown, they're one of the favorites for, certainly. And then you got those 2 5-stars there, Mark Matthews, David Jacobs, that they're looking to make a move with. George is going to be very tough to beat for David Jacobs with all the family ties. Mark Matthews, he's got everybody in the country pushing for him. Big opportunity for Notre Dame to make him comfortable around the school, make him comfortable around the coaches, but that's someone you're going to have to be on the gas for the entire process and be ready for modern recruiting as well.
Yeah, Notre Dame fans know the name Julius Jones. They'll get to know Junior. Got to see him play a little bit on ESPN. Very productive wide receiver, catching a lot of passes for St. Thomas.
St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, he's at St. Thomas Aquinas. Really impressive. But like you said, until they get some of the guys in this 2026 class for Notre Dame, though, Steve, they have the ability to come in and contribute right away.
Yeah, I think that you start with the wide receivers that Notre Dame has committed right now as guys that you think could come in and make an instant impact for the Irish. Kadon Finley certainly was someone that was at the top of the board, regardless of position for Notre Dame. But they're excited about a lot of these kids. Bubba Frazier will walk in and be one of the fastest players on the roster. Braden Robinson's an electric slot receiver from the Lone Star State. Devin Fitzgerald had a really good offseason, obviously comes from terrific family lineage at the position. And Dylan Faison, his older brother's one of Notre Dame's best playmakers right now at the wide receiver position. Notre Dame, they have one of the best classes in the secondary with Joey O'Brien, Kerry Adams leading the way. But you figure these pass rushers, Rodney Dunham Jr., Ebenezer Ewatati, those are guys that can maybe get on the field early and pass rush situations for the Irish down the road. It's the number 4 recruiting class in America right now. It's about done. They're looking to finish in the top 5 in 2027. This weekend will be huge in helping springboard that with some guys getting a taste of their first big Notre Dame game at night, top 25 matchup against Texas A&M.
Yep. All right, Notre Dame fans, talk to us. Who do you think is the most important target on campus this weekend? Put it in the comment section below. Also, hit subscribe while you're here because we're going to be talking Notre Dame all week long. Big game here. All right, Steve, that is it for Recruit Reaction. We got to cherish these weeks because they are just flying by. I can't believe we're already in week 3, but it's been fun.
No, absolutely. This season's already going fast. We're almost done with the first month. I guess we're not almost done with the first month, but Iowa State's played 4 ball games. Talking to one of their staffers today, just a little subtle reminder that they're 4-0 right now. They had to go to South Alabama and get a win on the road. Or was it Arkansas State? That's
Arkansas State.
Arkansas State. They gave
them a time. Together. Arkansas State really was hanging in there.
Yep, absolutely. But thanks for tuning in. Hit like and subscribe. The Inside Scoop on Sunday. The Wiltfong Whip Around back on Monday, breaking down more happenings from the trail this weekend.
See you guys.